if you don't understand how somebody else could come to believe something that you don't, you'll never be able to convince them of anything.
So, Steven, what do you think this podcast is going to be?
You asked that question when I specifically asked you not to.
I panicked. For my first question, why disagreement can be friendly?
Well, here's the thing, Danny. This is a podcast between two friends. And if you can't disagree without being friendly, you can have no friendship.
Right.
Like
See,
the definition of a friend is somebody who is passionate about something you're passionate about, who you can say anything to and they're not gonna get offended. Like I think sometimes we end up treating friendships kind of like romantic relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like trying to get our friends to like us. But if you want somebody to like you, you can never be their friend, because in a romantic relationship, you're like facing each other and you're like, focusing on each other. In a friendship, you're focused out and you're focused on something else. And so friends don't care that much about what their friends think of them. They just care, do they care about the thing I care about? So two friends can actually like really be passionate about something and really have opposite opinions on it, as long as they're both passionate about that same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I would add to that definition that friends have each other's best interest in mind, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So I care about what you think, and you care about what I think, and I know you care about what I think, and I hope that you know that I care about what you think. You know what I mean? So in that, we can disagree on things and still be friends.
Yeah. But there's not, like in a friendship, there shouldn't be this need to have consensus about everything.
Yeah.
Like we're both married. And so between spouses, there's got to be consensus about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you're also supposed to be a friend with your spouse.
Mm.
But you need consensus because you have to come to decisions and do life together. And so you have to agree on things at some point. But two friends don't have to.
Yeah.
Like we can't agree about whether we want to live and have it be -8 degrees in the winter or 86 degrees in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And because of technology, it doesn't matter. We can still be friends, even though you want it to be 95 degrees warmer in the winter than I do.
Yeah.
But if you and Stephanie couldn't agree whether you want it to be -8 or 86 degrees in the winter, you would have a problem.
Yeah, friends can disagree without getting in trouble, but it's hard to disagree with your spouse. Get in trouble.
Yeah.
That being said, my wife is always right, if she's listening. And I've never been right about anything.
But she's not, so we can be honest.
Yeah.
We have both asked our wives, and they both have said they have no plans to listen to our podcast.
Yeah. So gloves off. she's always wrong, actually.
My wife's been right a few times.
Yeah. Mine too.
So that's like, in theory, friends should be able to disagree for that reason. In reality, it's still pretty difficult for friends to disagree about things.
Mm-hmm. From that, let's move on to our real first question.
Oh.
Which is what I'm going to say. Why do most conversations stay shallow?
I think the reason is that one of the reasons is what we just said. Like, you're trying to convince your friends to like you. Like, if you're trying to make friends, if all you want is a friend, you'll almost never have meaningful conversations about anything. Because if you have an opinion about anything, if you're passionate about anything, and if you're going to find somebody else who's also passionate about that thing, most people that are passionate about the same thing as you disagree with you about that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the second piece of that is that we build our identity on our opinions about things.
So you're saying it's important to share those opinions. Is that what you
Well,
mean? Almost like in order to have a friend, you need to be a friend.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to make friends, if you want to have real friends, you've got to share your opinions, and that'll bother some people. If it bothers too many people, maybe you should rethink your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're just like sharing your opinions all the time and everybody hates you, maybe your opinions are dumb. You know,
I gotta.
maybe if that's the reception you're getting all the time, maybe you should rethink your opinions. But yeah, if you can't share your opinions, you'll never find any friends. You'll never find any real friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like I think that thing is like where do you what do you find your identity in? So if you find your identity in my name is Danny and I'm always right. If your identity is I think I'm an intelligent person and so my opinions are right like 90% of the time.
Yeah. Okay. So far, so good.
If that's if that's who you think you are, then every time somebody disagrees with you, you're just gonna get mad.
Okay. You're explaining a lot about myself.
Wait, are you serious?
No.
I was like, I'm not sure I could describe you more inaccurately than that statement, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny, you lived a charmed life, and no one has ever disliked you, probably in your whole life. Can you recall a time when somebody's like, "Man, that Danny, that son of a gun, I hate his guts."
Maybe times when it was a misunderstanding. Yeah, but
Yeah, even Danny has misunderstandings.
I have a little bit of an unspoken rule, even for myself, that I'm working out, and that's that anytime I'm on social media and someone posts something about politics, I mute them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say unfriend.
Sometimes I do unfriend.
No one has ever been convinced of anything by arguing on the comments section on a post.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, also this local coffee shop that I follow just posted something political.
I'll just drink your coffee. I don't need to know. I
Yeah,
don't need to know what your political manifesto is.
yeah.
And then I think what kills disagreement makes disagreement mean what makes conversation shallow is if you don't agree with me or if you're not in this range of opinions, we can't be friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's right to have certain boundaries, you know. Like if you're literally a Nazi, we are not going to be friends. Melissa and I just watched an episode of Fringe. Spoiler alert. It's just like literally just like a Nazi somehow transported to the present from 1940 and tried to kill people. Like that's the sort of person, like we just can't be friends with that kind of person. You know,
Hmm.
if you find that's literally what they believe, it's like, all right, this, we're done. Like, I have no interest in spending a time with you.
Yeah.
But I think in the resounding board of the internet, there's probably only like 5% on this side or this side that really need to be like, we can't have relationships with these people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the more you listen to the people that agree with you, it just gets pulled in until you have two parties that are like really not even that different from each other. But if you believe like 5% less on this issue than I do, then you're the problem with the world. And I can't possibly imagine being friends with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like probably 95% of people's opinions about various things shouldn't be extreme enough that you can't be friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
But we've made it to where it's like basically 50-50.
Yeah, it's crazy. But would you say that's why long form thinking and podcasts like this still matter?
Yeah, I mean, I like short form stuff to a certain extent, but our society is losing its ability to think deeply about difficult things. Our culture is losing its ability to wrestle with truths that we're uncomfortable with, and our culture is losing the ability just to focus on one thing for more than like 10 or 30 seconds at a time. I think anything that we can do that engages our brain over a long period of time about something that's not an absolute waste of time. It's good for our brains, it's good for our society, and I think it's how we're made to be. We're not made to watch a different short every 20 seconds for 4 hours at a time.
Yeah, more like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got and I've been noticing lately, hooks really matter in those little videos. I don't even know how my brain does it, but I know within usually, like, half a second if I have any interest in watching a video. I'll skip it after either, like, half a second or after, like, 4 seconds or after, like, 15 seconds. But most of the time, it's instant. I see it, no way, no interest at all. It's not like short videos are the worst thing in the world, but if our brains are only functioning in those half-second intervals, it's not good.
Hmm.
It leads to dopamine addiction, it's shortening our attention spans, it's hurting our work ethic, it's killing our creativity.
Mm-hmm.
It can be okay to work fast and things and consume things fast, but if you wanna get smarter, better, kinder, you've gotta engage your brain slowly with things over a period of time, because anything that's worth learning takes more than 3 seconds to learn.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about just really slowly sitting down and um, thinking about something, and like forming habits that take time. Even like I was just thinking about this today also. Reading sometimes just feels like such a chore to me, and I want to get to a place where it's easier, but feel so distracted oftentimes. And not all the time, but I'm trying to figure out how to feel less distracted. And so I think maybe um, long form discussions and digestion of information can help with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think even within books, there's different types of written content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, I forget what it's called. Solzhenitsyn's the Russian book where he was exposing what the Russian Gulag was like, and he was put in jail for writing the book.
Or
The
pages?
the Gulag Archipelago, yeah, there's 2 parts, and, like, each part is, like, 1,200 pages.
Wow, and you have
Just
read
about
this?
no, I've not read it. I've read
Okay.
little parts of it. No, but it's a really important piece of literature talking about suffering. 2,500 pages of basically Russian suffering and what it means. Um, yeah, that's, like, one extreme of, like, the stuff you're gonna get from a book like that is really valuable,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a really long time to get through it.
Yeah.
And the other extreme is tabloids, where you look at that magazine and it's like, "Oh, that is interesting. I didn't realize, uh, Bill and Hillary Clinton were getting divorced."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, "No, they're not."
Yeah. What's
Um,
interesting is people read all day long, you know, when you're scrolling on the internet or driving and seeing signs, you read all the time. And it doesn't seem like a chore. But then once you actually try to read a book, it feels like bleh.
I
you
know.
know?
Well, one reason for that, I think, is it takes a really long time. Like, a video can hook you quickly, a tabloid can hook you quickly, but
Mm-hmm.
even a really good book can take a really long time to actually hook you. You know,
Yeah.
you're learning the new characters, you're learning the new world, you're getting
Yep.
familiar with the concept, whatever it is, and the way
Mm-hmm.
they write and the pacing. Like, you never really care about a book until you're at least like, what, 50 or 100 pages in?
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a lot of effort just to find out, do I even sort of like this thing?
Yeah. I would agree. I'm experiencing that right now with you might disagree with me on this. This book right here. Can you see it?
No, but I'm guessing it's Lord of the Rings.
It's the second one, The Two Towers.
Okay, okay. You're struggling to decide if it's worth it, huh?
No, I mean I'm definitely gonna finish it, but so far I liked the first one much better. This one just feels like it's dragging a little bit, you know?
Yeah. So, The Two Towers is written in 2 parts, and the first
Mm,
part is all everybody else, and the second half is all Frodo and Sam,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is not a decision that many authors would make today.
Yeah.
Let's
I
put it
mean,
that way. It's all about back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
yeah. At
Um,
first it was cool, but now I'm like 100 over 100 pages in, and I'm like, all right, like I kind of just want an update on the other character.
it's hard for me to even respond to that because I've read Lord of the Rings so many times now. I think it's definitely a book that gets better every time you read it. You can't get in a hurry when you're reading Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
If what you want is short form, page turner, hooks and hooks and hooks over and over again, Lord of the Rings is not going to give you that.
Why is clarity better than certainty?
If you're right, certainty is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a friend that you could just never get to answer a question with more than like 10 or 15 words?
No, but I imagine I'm that friend to some people.
You know, I have that friend. I won't mention him by name. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. I probably will send this to him. See if he listens to it. You know who you are. Um, he, he's a smart person, thoughtful person, but everything is so clear in his head that you ask him a question, it's always like 10. It's always like 10 words.
Hmm.
Just like, so what do you think about Lord of the Rings? And he would just say, I love it. It's great. Best thing ever written. That's all I have to say about it. Or he would say, that's too long. I don't have time for that. And then he has like follow up questions. Oh, you loved it. What did you love about it? It's just good. I liked the things that happened in it. And so that's somebody who's got a lot of certainty. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to mean that you're arrogant or that you're not thinking about things. You can take shortcuts to certainty for sure. Whether it's I just know a fact about a thing and it's
Mm-hmm.
true, or I've decided this is what I think about it and I have no interest in discussing it with you. Like you can take shortcuts to certainty. But kind of getting back to we were talking before about like disagreements. If you don't understand how somebody else could come to believe something that you don't, you'll never be able to convince them of anything, probably. I mean, sometimes you just yell at people and say you're wrong and they listen. I don't know. I don't have that ability. Like some people are like that. That's great. But any compelling argument disarms the opinion from inside.
Say that again.
Any compelling argument against something disarms the opinion from inside its own assumptions.
You mean the other person's opinion?
Yeah.
So an argument against something.
Um, yeah. I mean, so here's an example: moral relativism. I think is still kind of popular on the street, but it's not popular with philosophers anymore because they've realized you kind of can't live with it. So moral relativism is the system of thinking that says there is no absolute truth. All truth claims are power grabs. Have you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Who said that? That was Nietzsche. And yeah, that's an understandable statement. All truth claims are power grabs. Like, well, a lot of truth claims are just power grabs. But the thing that he's doing when he says all truth claims are power grabs is the very thing he says is just a power grab. But the problem with that is you can't really live with it.
Yeah.
And so the argument against moral relativism is not, oh, well, obviously there's these truths and you're wrong and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, can you live with the implications of your belief? It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me there's no absolute truth statement. Well, what about the statement that we should be tolerant of other people's beliefs? Like, we probably agree on that. We should be tolerant of other people's beliefs, but where does that come from? Like, that's just a power grab, according to Nietzsche. Saying that we should be tolerant of each other's worldviews, that's just a power grab.
And so you think this way of thinking is more certainty than clarity.
Certainty kind of leads to like absolute statements of just like, this is the way that it is, and this is right, this is wrong. It's black and white.
Mm,
Um, and it's good to be certain about things. We have to be certain about something. Two people have absolute certainty and they're certain about the same thing and they agree on everything, then there's nothing to be said. Or if two people have absolute certainty and they disagree with each other, they're just going to yell at each other all day. And so I guess kind of the reason for that question is I just hope in this podcast, when we discuss things, I don't want to run straight to like, this is what's right, this is what's wrong.
yeah.
I
And
want to
also,
like think about things and analyze things and ask questions and trying to
yeah,
understand what other people think about it so
but
that we can actually understand the thing. And at some
yeah,
point you get to certainty.
yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify is what we're not saying is some things you can never be certain of.
Right.
We're not saying certainty doesn't exist because you can and should feel certain
Yeah.
about certain things. But it's good to acknowledge things that you know, but also things that you don't know. And I think
Mhm.
that's part of clarity is figuring out the things you don't know.
Well, and the other thing is if you get certainty without getting clarity first, then at some
Mm-hmm.
point you're gonna lose your worldview. Like the American mindset of if I if I do the good job, if I do a good job at my job, then over time I'll work my way up the ranks and I'll get a good pension and then I can retire and be happy at 65.
Mm-hmm.
Like if those are your life assumptions and that's your worldview, then the first time you lose your job, you haven't just lost your job, you've lost your worldview. Because you may have certainty, but how did you get it? If you don't get certainty by being considerate and thinking things through and getting clarity about what reality actually is. This happens to a lot of people when they go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up religious and it didn't mean much to you, and you go to college and the people that you think highly of are irreligious, and so you drop your religion. Or vice versa. People are irreligious and they go to college and they make good friends who believe in some religion and they pick it up.
Yeah.
Because most of us through the age of 18 don't question a lot of the underlying assumptions in our life. We either like the way we were raised and want to stick to it, or we hate the way we were raised and want to try and do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime you get certainty without wrestling with clarity for a little bit, you're kind of just waiting for some piece of suffering to just knock you off your comfortable chair.
Right. Yeah, and I think unfortunately certainty feels more strong, or it can feel more like you're presenting yourself as more confident. Whereas seeking clarity requires slowing down and trying to figure out what's actually happening. And that can be seen as more weak.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean it's the way our brains are wired. We want to follow people who know that they know what they're saying,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the economy favors people that are confident. But they've done like psych studies, and like if you have a room full of people and you ask them a question, it's like, how much does an elephant weigh? And then you ask them the second question, which is, how confident are you that you're right? The person that is most likely to be right is also going to be somebody who's not very certain that they're right.
Hmm. That's interesting. So the less confident they are in how right they are correlates to how right they actually are.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I'm guessing there's a happy confidence level because if somebody doesn't know what an elephant is, you know what I mean? If somebody just doesn't know what an elephant is, their confidence
Mm-hmm.
is going to be really low, and
Yeah.
their accuracy is going to be low. But somebody who has seen elephants a bunch of times and is a thoughtful person who's trying to give you the best answer. For like, all right, I kind of remember how big they were. It's like probably more than a car, but less than a train. It's like they're thinking
Yeah.
about it. Somebody who's thinking thoughtfully about information they actually have is only so confident that they're right, because not many people recently saw, your average elephant weighs 4,000 pounds. Like you've got maybe a 1 in 1,000 chance of being the person that gets asked that question, and you're like, oh yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah, average African elephant's 4,000 pounds. But a lot of people will act like that, even if only 1 in 1,000 recently read it. Probably 30% of your people act like, oh yeah, I know how much elephants weigh, it's 4,000 pounds, when really it's 12,000 pounds.
So is it 4 or 12?
I don't know. I don't know. I've looked this up multiple times and I always forget.
Let's do this. I'm very low confidence going to say some pounds.
Yeah, there we go. Adult elephants weigh between 4,000 and 15,000 pounds, with males slightly larger than females. The African savanna elephant is the largest, typically 10 to 13,000 pounds, while the Asian elephant is generally between 6 and 12,000 pounds.
Oh, there you go. I said 10, and I said I was very low confidence.
Yep, and I was saying 4, and I was the very bottom edge of the range.
So the less confident you are, the more right you will be. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's not like somebody that really just doesn't know is a 1 out of 10 on the confidence scale, right? It's probably like how certain are you? Somebody says like, I bet I'm like 60, 70% sure that elephants weigh like 8,000 pounds. That's the person that's most likely to be correct about a fact.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, oh yeah, I know for a fact it's this number. They're not thinking thoughtfully.
Yeah. And I think it's just being honest with yourself too, and knowing what you know.
Yeah. And it's one of my favorite fun facts, that if you go to a room of people and you ask them all to write down a number which they think is the average weight of an elephant, and don't tell anybody, don't discuss it, but you just write down what you think an average elephant weighs, and then you do that, and then you take all their numbers and average it, it's almost always correct, because the people have all seen, at least on TV or a picture or something, what an elephant looks like. And some people are going to be like, oh, they're huge, 100,000 pounds. They're throwing off your average. But then somebody's like, oh, yeah, they're huge, 500 pounds. And your inaccurate people cancel each other out. Because you're all looking at the same object. You all have a sense of what that thing actually is. But once you start discussing it, you throw it off.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
So if you're going to discuss it, you gotta ask people, how certain are you? And then listen to the people that are like middle certain. So that's why clarity is better than certainty.
And that is what our goal is here, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Try to provide more clarity than certainty. And maybe ultimately some certainty, but more so clarity.
Yeah. I think my goal for this podcast, this is may not very helpful, but it's a quote from Tolkien, where they asked him how he decided to write Lord of the Rings, where he got the idea. And he said, I wanted to write something exceptionally long that would hold people's attention for a really long time, which is like the least creative answer you'd ever think to hear from somebody who wrote a really, really good book. That is definitely creative. It was innovative and groundbreaking in many ways. But that's what I wanted to do, is you just wanted to make something that was long, that would hold people's attention. And that's what I hope to do. I want to make long-form content where we're processing relevant, interesting, at least to some people, topics, moving towards clarity, trying to understand what each other thinks, trying to understand how the world works. Maybe we'll talk about some things that nobody thinks are important, but at least they'll be interesting. And if they're not important or interesting, they'll just stop listening.
Two dudes talking about the stuff you can't explain. Big thoughts, bad jokes, and the questions in your brain. Inexplicable podcast. Kinda weird, kinda logical. Inexplicable podcast makes a strange sound almost practical.